No, we're not calling for that in this country at all.
That's what I get. You know what I mean?
Right.
The funny thing is, no Muslims actually saying that.
Yeah.
Only the newspapers are saying that.
I think they're trying to turn people. They're right, and I'm thinking like, why the media like putting loads of crap on Muslims and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I come down, but you seem like humble and things like that. So I'm trying to say, are you hiding anything, guys? That's what I don't know. You know what I mean?
I like it. No, honestly. It's a good way of introducing it, because what it is that the reason why I asked you those questions.
Because I'm thinking about my girlfriend's daughter.
Is she Muslim or?
No, she's not Muslim at all. I said I'll come down here and talk about MillWalll. I'm not mucking about, seriously, innit?
What I was going to say to you, right, was that
Major day though, innit?
the reason why, because you seem to me like a genuine bloke, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
seriously.
one of the average Joes, in a sense, right? You're not necessarily like a specialist in Islam or religion, but you want to know, right?
Yeah.
So let me tell you in a straightforward sense what we believe in, right?
There you go, bro, so you don't get jealous.
That's why I want a third one now. There you go. Oh, yeah, go, sorry.
Downey's not with me though.
So
You just
what-
speaking to me.
That's my best friend. No, I'm joking.
Come to the MillWalll.
He's
By the
like
end of
a
the day, he'll
regular-
be your best friend, don't worry.
What I was going to say to you is, okay, what Muslims believe in is the following, right? We believe that there is one God that created the universe, is sustaining the universe, is maintaining the universe, right? Has created me, has created you, has created the universe, has created all that exists.
Yeah.
Okay, one God. That God is the singularity, or you could say the entity, the thing that started everything. Our explanation for how we got here. Yeah. And that we're on this planet Earth. And basically, we have a choice to make. We believe in a long line of messengers. All of them have come with that same message, to believe in God and to worship God. So, for example, you might have been exposed to in your days in church or whatever.
Yeah, Jesus.
Jesus and Moses and Abraham and these things, right? So we also believe in Jesus and Moses and Abraham.
You actually believe in like
Yeah.
another prophet sort of thing?
Yeah, so we believe that Jesus was a prophet, a messenger, that he was the Messiah, right? That he did all those kind of like miracles. He raised the dead, he cured the blind, he cured the leper with God's permission. That all of those things didn't actually happen, but that he was not God or the Son of God.
Yeah.
We don't believe that he was God, and we don't believe that he was the Son of
Jesus
God.
wasn't God anyway, because there's only one God. That's what.
Right. So that's what we would say.
Son.
So that's what differentiates us from Christians, because Christians would say that actually there's a Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And
I'm only ghost. I was Catholic.
yeah. So a Catholic or a Protestant would say that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, right? We would say no. Actually, there is no such concept. There's no such.
Sorry guys, he's got three microphones.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll pick it up. Trust me.
I'm joking.
Oh, three.
Really
No,
got
actually, I've
one,
got
two,
four.
three.
Four. This one here. Look at this one. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so we would say, look, we don't believe in the Trinity. The Trinity is a historical development that came in the Roman Empire. We don't believe in that. We believe in the idea of one God, right?
Yeah.
So what we're simply saying is that all of those prophets that came with two things. They came with that same message, to believe in a one God, to worship a one God, yeah? And they also came with an evidence to prove that they were prophets. That's what they came with, yeah? So Muhammad, who is the prophet we believe in, is the final prophet.
Okay, so you don't think there's no more coming?
No one's coming after him, yeah? Or no one can come after the Prophet Muhammad. So we believe that he's the final prophet. What differentiates Prophet Muhammad from all of the other prophets is that Prophet Muhammad was sent for all of humankind, whereas all of the prophets were sent for their peoples and their times.
Yeah.
So even in the Bible, you'll find that Jesus says to his followers, do not go in the way of the Gentiles, for I was only sent to the lost sheep of Israel. In a nutshell, therefore, we would say that whereas we don't disbelieve in that which came before, we actually believe in it. We believe in Jesus and Abraham and Moses and those Old Testament prophets. We would say that, number one, Christianity is not accurate in its conceptualizing of the Trinity. And number two, we also believe in the final prophet that's come to all of humanity with this message of Islam. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Okay.
Basically, to be honest with you, I'm not religious at all.
Yeah.
At all. So I just come here to see what you guys are saying and stuff. Obviously, I respect you lot and stuff. I respect every religion, but I just think it's going a bit stupid nowadays. It's going like it's always in the newspaper. Everyone's going stuff like that. So what's going on? That's why I've come down here to see what's going on.
First things first, and that's why I've come here with because it's important. If we're going to talk about Muslims
He's the,
and what's happening with
Wall job
Muslims,
bloke, isn't it? Yeah, bro, isn't it?
it's important to talk about Islam on a basic level. That's why right now I've just kind of given you the basics of Islam, right?
Yeah.
So we've got the 5 pillars and we've got the 6 pillars. 5 pillars of Islam and the 6 pillars of Iman. These are some things which constitute the basics of Islam, right?
Yeah.
It's important for us to know these things, right? What is Sharia law? Because you've mentioned it. Sharia in Arabic literally means a path to the water. Yani a pathway to the water. And the Quran actually uses the word quite frequently in different forms.
Yeah.
So anyways, the idea is Sharia are the injunctions of the Quran and the Sunnah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but are the prescriptions, what Allah
Do you
tells us to do.
actually believe that? Because I don't know about Sharia law, but I've read, like, I've seen loads of stuff like stoning people.
Yeah.
Would you like it in this country?
No, we're not calling for that in this country at all.
That's what I get. 'Cause you know what I mean? Well,
Right,
Funny
right.
thing is, no Muslims are actually saying that.
Yeah.
Only the newspapers are saying
I
that.
think they're trying to turn people against each other.
So okay, no, hold on. So Sharia law,
Yeah.
what is Sharia? Sharia is the injunctions of the Quran and Sunnah which constitute the legal framework that Muslims are meant to follow. That's what Sharia is. Yeah? So there is no book of Sharia, but Sharia is extrapolated from the Quran and from the Sunnah, which is the Sunnah are the Hadith or the Prophet's sayings and his doing. What he did, what he said, and what he told other people is okay to do.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, that's what the Sunnah is.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Right? So, for example, like one of them, we have, for example, the idea of giving charity. It's emphasized in the Quran, right?
Yeah.
Especially to those who are orphans. That's emphasized in the Quran.
It's
Massively.
like it's like, do you know, like us with Christmas, like you guys, you fast to like.
Yeah, so Ramadan.
Yeah,
the-
Ramadan,
the-
sorry, yeah.
So the rulings of Ramadan, the 5 pillars of Islam
Mecca's
constitute.
one of them as well, isn't it?
Mecca is a location in Saudi Arabia.
You got to visit.
So one of the pillars of Islam is the pilgrimage to Mecca. Yeah? Right?
Yeah.
So you're right. So all of that is Sharia. So praying 5 times a day is part of Sharia in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Being good to your parents is part of Sharia. Yeah? Eating halal food is
Yeah.
part of Sharia. In fact, I'm actually aware that there's a law in statute in British law that says something about halal food and kosher food. So you could say part of Sharia is in the British law, you know, in a sense, right? Because eating halal food is a part of Sharia,
Yeah.
right? So we have some Sharia in the UK. It's not like if you go to East End of London, what you see there is Sharia.
Well, no, what I'm trying to ask you is, sorry, I'm trying to ask you because I'm a bit, I think what's going on and stuff like with the Muslims and stuff, and I'm
Yes.
thinking like, should we fear you the way the media are saying, or you're with us anyway, you're our brothers, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That's what
Right,
I'm
so
getting at, and-
that's the point. So I think what it is that some people are claiming
Yeah.
that Muslims, because of Sharia or because of the laws of Sharia, are against non-Muslims.
Can I just say, sorry guys, can you turn the camera on him? He's a Millwall fan. I've spoken to him like years ago. He's come all the way from Yorkshire. He's part of Millwall guys.
So what are you saying? He deserves to be stoned to death?
No, he's all right up there, isn't it?
I'm only joking, man.
No, I'm joking, man.
Yeah.
No thinks I'll take you to Mick, but I just come down. To be honest with you, I come down here, see what it's like.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
You've seen things on. You've seen things on news, right?
I have. I'm just a bit
And
concerned,
the place
guys.
you want to question Muslims, and I think, sorry, I've got one. I think the best place, like
sorry,
I said,
man.
you can question. There's a Muslims here who you can actually
Yeah.
question instead of just
So
hearing.
you've
what
got
the
an
media's
opportunity
saying.
here.
As I said before, we question people. I always class like as a white person that we class as racist. And we like start questioning people. and stuff like that.
So
I'm
in fact,
sort of
in fact, really, it's about getting the elephant out of the room. Because
Yeah.
for you need to. Because look, London is approaching 20% Muslim population. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it's. Birmingham is going to be 30% by the next census. Believe me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk
Oh,
about.
by the way, Birmingham, Millwall won. That's what I just said. So.
You're going to be walking around in London, 1 out of 5 people are going to be Muslim. In Birmingham, 1 out of 3 people are going to be Muslim. In the world, by the end of the century, according to Pew Research, 1 out of 3 people of the world is going to be Muslim. At the end of the century, 1 out of 3 people, 35%. That's what they say, right? So the thing is now it is high time that people educate themselves on what Islam is, and what the basics of Islam is, and what Muslims are.
Yeah.
Not necessarily only just to, to see if it's the right way of life or whatever, but just also to educate yourself, to know
Yeah.
how to deal with people. Do you know what I mean? It's really
Yeah, I know what
important.
you mean, yeah.
So that's why it's important that you've come to me now. I'm happy that you've understood these things. Those kind of things that, for example, you mentioned stoning and the death penalty.
Yeah.
You mentioned like there are 4 or 5 things that whenever a Westerner speaks of Sharia, that you think about, like for example, cutting the hand and this and that and whatever, stealing and stoning and whatever. Let me tell you something. First and foremost, this is important to be put on the record. Muslims are not calling, for any of the what you call the penal code, or the punitive laws, the classical punitive laws of Islam, to be implemented in the West. We're not calling for that. We need people to understand what Islam is on a fundamental level, what Tawheed is, the idea of one God, monotheism. That's our remit. We're not here, we don't want to cut no person's hand off or stone nobody. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's just the stuff you hear and stuff, you know what I mean? Like,
okay, so that's where we are, right? In the West, our remit, you could say, is an educative remit. So we're trying to actually educate people just to understand what Islam is on a basic level, We understand that there are certain things in Islam, punitive laws and such, that certain people are not going to understand. You only, and I'll say this to you, you only understand the punitive laws of Islam when you've understood the core tenets of it. So when you understand why it is that we believe in one God. Because from that, we start to build a rationality. So we say that, for example, God is all-knowing, right? That's one of the attributes of God. God has attributes. He's all-knowing, He's powerful, He's the creator. And so by extension, everything that He judges he's got perfect wisdom. He's got perfect knowledge associated with it. Right? So, but anyways, those punitive laws that we talked about, to be honest with you, a lot of them are caricatured anyways. So a lot of people, when they talk about them, like the far right, they talk about them as if, for example, we believe in killing innocent people or killing non-combatant people, or being unfair to people of a different sect or a different religion or whatever. And we don't believe in any of those things. We believe in the freedom of someone who's a non-Muslim to make a decision to whatever they want to do. It says that in the Quran. Right? So here, you've understood the basics. I'm going to be around here. If you need anything, let me know. Yeah?
Cheers, man.
Thank
you for making me famous.
Anytime.
What are you channel you on? I'll give you the things, mate.
Well, there's going to be lots of channels that I don't know. This one's called Pathway to Mercy. This is called O.S.C.C. Dawah. This one's called what?
I'm S.C.
Okay. And what's that one called? Huh? Sayyid. Oh yeah, Sayyid's one.
Can you say Chris, MillWalll fan?
And obviously Muhammad Hijab channel.
And there's Chris from the MillWalll.
And Chris, are you a MillWalll fan?
Is that how you want your name in the title, Chris?
Just do Chris the MillWalll fan. Can I say hello quickly? You still recording? Well, it's Chris the MillWalll fan. Just say hello to Saffron. I said I'll be on TV with you. Felicia. Innit? Felicia, don't kill me, man. Don't kill me.
It was all good, my friend. It was all good.
She's man. Nice of the debate, man.
يا ديمة خير وعطاء ويمام لقاء وسخاء يا نجما شع فأبهجنا يا شعلة نور وضاء يا ديمة خير وعطاء ويمام لقاء